Welcome back. So far, we haven't done any talking about Scratch, so I wanted to use today to give you an example of how you can get your first game started. Scratch can be a little bit tricky because I find it difficult to locate all of the variables, and it is very specific to each of your characters. So I wanted to go slowly in this introduction. So what I'm going to show you first is how to create a sprite that moves randomly, because that really is the basis of a lot of the challenging games that you'll build. You can see mine is kind of bouncing along. I've done a simple one, and then I'm going to step through how I created it. Basically involves picking a stage where you're going to change the background color, adding a custom sprite and naming it, and then calling, meaning referring to this new sprite in a control action, a method that involves a loop with one motion and two operators. So you can see, I'm going to make him stop here. You can see I have the stage here where I added the color black, and I created a sprite, a little pink ball, which is what's moving. And you can see, and I named it flying ball, and you can see that my operators, my methods are the control of when flying ball is clicked, and I added a forever loop and included a blue motion glide of 1 second, and the two operators, which I'll show you here. The operators are on the x-axis, and I always like to think of x as xylophone, and that's your axis that goes horizontally. And those are the green ones, and I've picked random from -50 to 50, and then y, and I always think of that as y so high, and that's your horizontal axis, meaning you're up and down. And I picked the operator random again from -100 to 100. So I'm keeping my range, my left and right motion fairly narrow, and my up and down a little bit bigger. I find it's easy when you're creating a game, if you're trying to create a difficulty factor, of keeping your random motions constricted, meaning that you don't have them flying all over the place too fast, otherwise it's going to make your game way too hard. But that would be a way of increasing the difficulty factor of making changes to the randomness that you program with your sprite. Okay, so that said, what I've programmed it is when the flying ball is clicked, as opposed to the green arrow. You could certainly do the green arrow. That starts your game, or at least his motion in the game. So I'm going to click X that out for now. So let's go ahead and start that one from the beginning. I'm going to go to File, New. Oh, I need to save this. So there we go. So now we're going to go to our new one. Get rid of our little cat guy that always comes up. Okay, let's work with the stage first. So we got the stage highlighted. Let's click on him and go to Backgrounds and Edit. This is how you change the color. You may already know this, but just in case, I'm going to pick black because I think it shows up nicely. Pick on the rectangle. Then you'll see you get a crosshair. Pull up to the top left hand. And if you just drag it down, you'll drag your colors. Now, you can certainly add different colors if you wanted to get more creative, but like little blocks of colors. It doesn't have to be one. But I'm going to, for now, do this. Okay, so I've got him created. And now we're going to go to New Sprite. I'm going to show you how I created that pink ball. So I'm going to click on pink here. I'm going to go to the ellipse tool. You get your crosshairs. Hold down your left mouse key and drag it to the size you want. Kind of fairly medium size-ish. Click OK. And then to rename him, go up to his little sprite name box, and I'm going to call him Pink Ball. And you'll see his name changes up at top and down below. So let's start doing some programming. Let's go over making sure that you've got pink ball highlighted, because you want to add your programming to your object, and this is where Scratch gets a little tricky. You're going to make sure the stuff you add, meaning you are highlighting your specific character. So we go to Control, and you'll see pink ball shows up. Scratch detected that I have an object, that's the object's name, or the character's name. So let's drag when pink ball is clicked. And we're also going to add our forever, right? Because this is a loop. We want it to keep going, bouncing along. Then we're going to go motion, the blue, pick glide 1 second. Okay, and then we're going to go to operators. This is where your random is, and this is where you're going to have to be. This is a little bit tricky, so don't get discouraged. Don't go too fast on this, but pay attention to what you see on the screen. So you're going to drag and drop for both X and Y, which is why you have 2. Whoops. So first go to the little X box, and you see how the little it highlights? That tells you you're there and it's safe to drop it. Alright, so then you can go right into the numbers here and put your numbers in. I had picked it because I didn't want it to go left and right too far. I'm going to put negative 50 and 50. Okay. Now again, I don't like that you can't resize this, so make sure before you go to drag the second operator for your y-axis that you bring it all the way over using this little scroll bar down here. Okay, and then again you're going to drag and drop, pick random, and this is controlling your y. Now make sure you're going to have to go pretty far over, and see how it's highlighted on the y one now? Now it's safe to drop it. Oops, and you can see, because it's around the edge, sometimes it'll fly away again, so I sometimes even have the same problem. There we go. So it's a little tricky navigating this, I find. And it's still arguing with me. Okay, let's do one more time on this. One more time. Scratch. It's being a little scratchy with me. You're going to give me one shot at this. Okay. Let's see if I can drag it over. There we go. So, and then we're going to change negative 100 to 100. Yeah, so you can see I don't like that this editing screen is really a little more difficult to play with than, say, for Alice or Kodu. But you know, you just persevere. You saw me kind of go through it. It doesn't always work the first time. Don't worry about it. All right, so let's test it out. Clicking on our little guy. And there he goes. So that's in a nutshell. Of course, I would encourage you to go ahead and play with the different values, like change 1 to 2. Let's see what happens when we do that, for example. And that is going to increase, that should increase the pace. So let's change it to 5. Oh, it makes him go much slower. There we go. So I'm sorry. So if you want to make your game easier, make the number higher. If you want to make it slower or more challenging, let's say 0.5 here. There you go. That's a peppier one, isn't it? So when we change it from 1 to 0.5, then you're going to have a much faster little random action. So the higher the number in your glide, the slower. The lower the number, faster, which makes sense, of course. So stay tuned. The next part of this will be adding characters that have shooting actions trying to aim at this randomly moving object. So until then, happy animating, and we'll talk soon.